All right, guys, it's ready for Sweep the League time. You guys ready?
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweet Philly Radio.
Welcome to the We Got Next Wednesday edition of Sweep the League. Rudy Campos Jr. going to be joined by Hall of Famer Derek Gervin going into UTSA's Hall of Fame next weekend. We are about 30 minutes early today. We're going to get our guest in here right now. It is Mr. Speedy Claxton. You know him, NBA champion with your San Antonio Spurs. We're going to talk to him a little bit about the NBA title run that he had with the Spurs. Also, head coach of Hofstra men's basketball. We'll see the outlook for Hofstra men's basketball this season. We're going to get the show started right away. We got him here for just a little bit. Let me bring on Hall of Famer Derek Gervin. Derek, you ready to go, man? Because we know we've got Speedy here. And
I'm ready to go, sir. We got
nickname
Speedy Claxton. Let's get it pumped. Let's get it kicking. I'm ready.
It's the nickname Speedy. We're gonna speed right through this here. So appreciate everybody always join us here. Let's go ahead and bring him on here. Mr. Speedy Claxton, NBA champion for your San Antonio Spurs, and again, men's basketball coach for Hofstra. Mr. Claxton, thought we had him right there. We do have him right here. Let me make sure he's on there. Let me give him a second here. I think he clicked off for just a minute there. But yeah, we will be talking to Speedy here in just a minute. He is, as you can tell, he is on the stream, so we will get to him in just a minute. Really want to talk to him about that title run in 2003 with the San Antonio Spurs. It was a difficult time because during that season, you were hearing a lot of the stuff about Jason Kidd coming to San Antonio. Did that play a part in Tony Parker kind of having the struggles in the playoffs? I've always felt that Speedy gets overlooked during that playoff run, during the NBA Finals run. And, not a knock to Tony. It's never a knock to Tony, but, Speedy came in and he was able to solidify a lot of these games for us here. You got something for it, Derek?
No, I just wanted to hear what he has to say about the what it was being behind Tony Parker. To me, they were both the starting point guards, and what it was like just basically being around Tony at that time. He was still kind of green to me, and just what it was like dealing with Tony and Pop on a daily basis.
Yeah. We do have Mr. Claxton on. We'll wait for him to get back on with us here at Sweep the League. But again, Hofstra men's basketball coach, like I said, NBA title run with the San Antonio Spurs back in 2003. Like I said, man, a lot of times it's overlooked of the title run that we had right there with San Antonio. I think he's having a little bit of issue with the streams there, but we, like I said, we're working on him, getting on him with us right now here at Sweep the League. But with that whole team right there, that was a pretty well built Spurs team, Derek. I mean, you're talking about David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu, obviously the big four that you had there. Steven Jackson was having, himself a season that year. But also you have to you can't overlook guys, Steve Kerr, Malik Rose, Steve Smith. I mean, that was probably one of the more loaded Spurs teams that we've seen as far as veteran leadership in 2003.
Well, they all bonded together. It wasn't about one player, and all the guys pitched in and they did their job. I mean, if you look at that roster, that's a championship roster. And the only reason it is because everyone came outside of themselves and did what was for the betterment of the team. And we were rewarded with our second championship down here in San Antonio. And Speedy was a big, big part of that.
Yeah, he's a massive, massive part of it there. Like I said, once I think he has a little bit of technical difficulties, once we get it going, we definitely will have him on here with us tonight here on Sweep the League. But, a lot of people go back to, one of the title runs with Tim Duncan, David Robinson, obviously Tony Manu. I mean, they were all a part of the ones after the 99 season. Kawhi Leonard, the beautiful game. But, even that team wasn't as stacked as the 2002, 2003 San Antonio Spurs roster. I mean, you can probably say they were 10 deep easily in 2002, 2003. I mean, when you have a center like Mink Patir, who's probably your 12th guy on that roster, I mean, that's saying a whole lot because you still have vets like Kevin Willis was on that team, Danny Ferry, didn't even mention Bruce Bowen. I mean, again, one of the more stacked teams that we've seen in the NBA, competing for an NBA title that year. But again, it all comes back to what was saying as far as the point guard position was, and that is Tony Parker. I mean, the struggles were real, especially in the finals. You could do. I wasn't sure if he was thinking about what was going to happen in that offseason. So, that's something that I wanted to talk a little bit about with our guest tonight, which would be Speedy Claxton. Again, sound a couple of technical. Hey, it's radio, man. I mean, radio happens. We have technical difficulties from time to time. So yeah, we're working on it right now. Definitely getting back on here just a little bit here. But it's gonna be myself. It's gonna be Hall of Famer Derek Irvin. I don't think Coach T is actually joining us tonight. That's good.
I asked him, is he having problems on his end? I told him we see his name, but no picture.
Yeah, he might be having some issues right there. It looks like it is buffering, so that's not a problem right there. It happens, man. Yeah, he logged out, so he's gonna log back in. Just have to click the link again. We'll definitely get him on, but you know, it's it's that Spurs team. I keep going back to that team because it's probably one of the more in depth teams. You could have probably had two starting rosters on that Spurs squad easily. Two NBA starting teams easily on that roster.
They were deep, man. I mean, even fan favorite. We look at back to these days, Steve Smith,
Yeah,
who's of course a favorite from mine from Detroit, Michigan. Malik Rose.
yeah,
I
Malik
mean, how
Rose.
many people didn't like Malik Rose? So we got Speedy Claxton, Malik Rose, and guys like that. So it was a total team. It wasn't about individuals. Everybody.
Can you guys hear me?
Betterment.
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Can you hear us,
Okay.
sir?
Yep. I
All
got
right, everybody. We are joined by Speedy Claxton. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we did promise that we will have him on the show. Mr. Claxton, welcome to Sweep the League. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me. Having a good night so far. My Mets won. We're moving on, so it's a good night.
The amazing Mets moving on here, man. How confident? You got to be confident. Are they going to go all the way this year?
I think this could be the year, man. There's something special about this team.
So growing up a Mets fan, I mean, you're talking what? Doc Gooden,
Oh,
Strawberry.
yeah, Darryl Strawberry. Yeah, Keith Hernandez, Lenny Dykstra. Yeah, that was definitely a Mets fan.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Giants fan, but I own a Gary Carter Mets jersey. So I mean that goes pretty deep right there, man. I do appreciate you joining us tonight, and of course, men's basketball coach for Hofstra University. I was talking to Derek before we came on, and I said, man, they got a nice little 4-game stretch towards the beginning of the season. It's Seton Hall, UMass, Florida State, and Houston.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, the preparation for your team, sir, going into this season. I mean, you have not had a below 500 season in the 3 years you've been coaching, so expectations got to be high going in.
Oh yeah, expectations are always high, but I mean that's what we play for. We build our non-conference schedule to try to get us ready for conference play. So we play hard, tough-nosed competition, and ultimately, I think it'll just get us better and prepare us.
There you go. We're talking to Mr. Speedy Claxton, NBA champion for your San Antonio Spurs, men's basketball coach for Hofstra University. I believe Derek wants to jump in right here.
Well, first, I want to say thank you, Speedy. I'm meeting you face to face here, and that's a pleasure.
No problem, man.
Can you tell us? I'm gonna gotta get right to it.
It's all good. Let's go.
That 2003 team. First of all, y'all could have had, and Rudy said it before you came on the air. Y'all could have had 2 starting rosters. But my question is, what was it like at that time? Because to me, Tony was still kind of green. And for you,
honestly, we really could because. Like, we used to get them fits in practice. Like, we used to beat them all the time. And, I mean, it was myself, Manu, at the beginning of the year, Steve Jackson was with the second unit. That's when we really used to go at them. But then him and Steve Smith kind of switched spots. Malik Rose. So we had the second unit was really good.
Yeah, that second unit. I mean, two starting fives and the veteran leadership on that squad. And I mean, talking to Derek, when you can go 10, 11 deep on a team, I mean, you're bound to be NBA champions that year. There's no
Yeah,
doubt about that.
that's what made it so special. Because we could go so deep. So if somebody was having an off night or two guys was having an off night, it was always that next man up mentality, and we filled that void.
Yeah, you brought up the next man up mentality. And, like Derek said, I'm going to rip the band aid off. And we're going to rip the band aid off left and right here because we saw the struggles that Tony had, especially in the finals. And I mean, Derek is my witness. As I'm always saying, Speedy never got the love that he should have got in the NBA final run because I don't know if Tony's mind was on the games or he was. I mean, there was a lot of chatter with Jason Kidd. Let's be real.
Well, he was young. He was
yeah.
young. And, it was a lot of chatter with Jason Kidd, potentially coming to San Antonio that next year. So I'm sure Tony wanted to put his best foot forward and show that he was, the point guard of the future for the Spurs.
Yeah, you got some, Derek?
I just want to ask you about when you guys were running, because I played in that league, and then I ended up getting hurt. And Drazen Petrovic came in when I got hurt with the Nets. But you guys, I know Dave, I practiced with their team when Tim was a rookie. What was it like when you guys ran sprints? What at the front of the line? Wasn't it Speedy Claxton, David Robinson, and Kevin Willis?
Oh, yeah, I was definitely a leader in the pack. They don't call me Speedy for nothing.
Kevin, I heard stories that Kevin and Dave would win some of those sprints.
Oh, no. Kev was in shape, man. To have played so many years in the league and be a older guy, like he was definitely in shape, man. He kept in great shape.
Yeah, we are talking to Speedy Claxton, NBA champion with your San Antonio Spurs, men's head coach for Hofstra basketball. When we allow a fan to ask a question to some of our guests that we have on the show, and the most popular question I got was the nickname Speedy. Where did Speedy come from there?
That is the question that everybody wants to know. Well, it came about when I was about, I'm going to say like 12, 13 years old. There was a coach that I used to always play against. His name was Artie Cox, who actually later coached me in AU. But his team they know my name, but we used to play against them in a lot of tournaments. So he just referred to me as the Speedy Kid. And then I actually went to basketball camp with a lot of his players, so they remembered me as the Speedy Kid. So they just started calling me Speedy, and it kind of just stuck, and everybody ran with it.
There you go. For everybody wanting to know where the nickname came from, he dropped it on y'all right there. So that's good. That was the most common question that we got. Oh, go ahead, Speedy.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so your playing career, in the NBA, after a few good seasons there you ended it with the Hawks, and then you became a scout with the Warriors, and then all of a sudden, you were jumping to Hofstra University, I believe, as an assistant for Hofstra. Yep. So what was the desire to get you into coaching? Was that something that you really wanted to do when your playing career was done?
No, not at all. But towards the end of my career, actually, when I was with Golden State, Don Nelson, he was the head coach at the time, and he's the first person who kind of put it into my head. During that year, I guess he saw how I interacted with my teammates, and I was kind of like,
oh man,
came to me after practice, and he was like, Speedy, sit down, let me talk to you. I was like, what's up, coach? He was like, did you ever think about coaching? And up until that point, I hadn't. And then I was like, nah, not really. That's something I never really thought about. He said, well, you should really think long and hard about it, because I think you will make an excellent coach. And then at that point, I had to think about it, because here it is, a Hall of Fame coach, and telling me that I could be a coach. Hey, I gotta listen to that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially if Don Nelson's telling you like that. I mean, there's no doubt about that, Derek.
Now, I just want to say, man, I'm so excited to have you on the show. I'm not usually nervous. I've interviewed my
I
brother,
think I lost you
Dr.
guys. Can
J.
you hear me?
I
Yes,
hear
we can hear
you.
you.
I can't hear you
you.
guys.
You can't hear us that well?
No.
We
Let
have
me see.
problems.
Testing 1 2.
I'll jump out then come right back in.
Okay.
Okay, that would be fine, man. Yeah, I think it's his connection. It's his internet connection that might be heading it up there, but we'll get him back on here. The coaching thing, Derek. I mean, Hofstra men's basketball coach. It's weird because I figured maybe Pop would have been the guy to tell him to jump into coaching, but it was actually Don Nelson.
Nelson.
And I mean that's crazy here. We got him back here right here, so we'll bring him
Yep.
back on. All right, you can hear us now, buddy.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Derek.
Well, I wanted to say that I'm not usually nervous. I've interviewed my brother, Dr. J, Oscar Robertson, but we've talked about you so much, and Rudy's talked about you so much. Would you ever, if you look at the game today, from back when you played, what do you think about the current state of the NBA? Do you like the way the game is going, or what do you think about it?
I mean, I'm definitely a fan of today's players. Um, it really is different. It's more, I feel like it's more entertainment now. Like these kids, they're bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic. Their knowledge of the game isn't quite where back in days where I was, but it's more entertaining now, and the league is gonna make money based off of its entertainment. So I think it's different, but it is entertaining. I do like to watch it.
Will you tell me, and I know you'll be honest about it, what did you think about when Anthony Edwards made his comment like Michael Jordan was the only guy back in that era that was had any skill?
I mean, he's wrong. There's a back then mostly everybody who played in NBA was very 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 skilled. I don't think these kids IQ is where it needs to be, because I find myself when I'm watching the games, I'm looking like this. Why would you make that pass, or why would you do that? And it's all about entertainment, man, for these kids. Like they're just trying to make Sports Center.
Did you hear that, Rudy? And,
Yeah, I
and,
did.
and
And
the little things like getting to a passing angle to throw the
Yeah,
ball inside to the post, just being fundamentally
like
sound.
they
And
it
yeah,
the play could call for like a simple bounce pass, and they got to make a no look and throw it between their legs. I'm looking like there was no need to do that, but everybody want to be flashy. They want to make Sports Center.
it's what I've told Derek a lot. It's all about social media now. It's how
It
many
is.
likes, how
It
many
totally is.
views.
It
You know,
totally is.
yeah, how many likes, how many views. It seems like the fundamentals of the game have just gone out the door. And
Rudy, wait though, they haven't gone out the door because if you look at a team like Boston.
okay,
Yeah.
Boston plays the game the right way. They're not concerned with being flashy. They make the right passes. They make precision passes. Guys like Derek White, Drew Holiday. They're not worried about the 20 dribbles through their legs.
That
It's just
backside step.
yeah, they play the game the right way. And when you see guys like that and
Yeah,
Jokic, that's what the game's about.
I love watching Boston play, man. Like
Yeah.
that's a good brand of basketball right there.
yeah, Boston is really good. Denver always comes up on our show as well. The way Jokic plays.
Yeah,
I
I,
mean,
I, I like to watch Denver also.
yeah, yeah. There are some fundamentally sound players out there, teams
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely, absolutely. But overall, it's all about entertainment.
Yeah. So, I mean, before we let you go, coaching at Hofstra, any huge adjustments you have to make? Because I know when a lot of players go into coaching, it's the kind of game that they grew up on. But with the newer generation coming
Yeah,
up, how tough is it?
it's tough because I tell you what, it's so much harder coaching the game than it is playing, and explaining to these kids like this generation is they're the Y generation. So you got to tell them, but then you got to tell them like why you want them to do that.
Yeah.
And then you always gotta you could coach them hard, but then you got to love them just as hard also.
Yeah.
You can't constantly just be on them about negative things because they're not going to take to that. You gotta give them some positive after you give them the negative.
Yeah. That is true. Derek, you got any parting words with Speedy before we
No,
let him go
those
here?
were the best words because you know how I talk about the game all the time. And I
Yeah.
coached the AAU team this past summer, club basketball
Uh
AAU.
huh.
And I'm
Yep.
just like you. I understood because the guys are very sensitive.
Very
Very
extremely,
sensitive. And every time you
extremely.
do something, they might question your decision. And
Yep.
even if it's the right decision, and you have to be able to break down why you did
Why?
what you did to get them to understand. So, the 20 minutes that you've been on, I think it's been fantastic. You covered something that it takes hours to cover. So, I'm happy to have you on the show, and I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, sir. We were talking to Mr. Speedy Claxton, NBA champion with your San Antonio Spurs, men's head coach for Hofstra University. We wish him the absolute best of luck. Appreciated him joining us on here on Sweep the League. Great conversation, Derek. I mean, it was a quick one, but right to the point. We ripped the Band-Aid off with the 2003 NBA Spurs team, and that was what we wanted to know. The thing I got was the Tony focus point. He really was. He's young, he's green, but I mean, you got to think that Jason Kidd chatter was really bothering him, and it
It would,
benefited Speedy in
it
the
would
long run.
bother. I mean, just human instinct. When you hear someone else's name, when you come to a team and you're expecting to be the guy that's going to basically be handed the keys to that franchise,
Yeah,
and you've been handed the keys, and then you still basically have to look over your shoulder. And as you know that, but that's the nature of the game. If you look at guys like Drew Bledsoe, you have a Tom Brady come in, it's just instinctive. You start looking over your shoulder. And it's the same in basketball. So,
yeah,
I mean, Tony, we see what who Tony became. To me, if you really look at it, to me, Tony Parker is a top 10 point guard of all time. You know, a lot of people might not agree with me, but if you go by his total body of work and leading the league a couple years, scoring in the paint, man. When have you heard a guy that age? We've seen Allen Iverson. We've seen some guys that could play the game. That was Isaiah Thomas, but those guys weren't leading the league in scoring in the paint. And
yeah.
people don't realize how hard that is, man. I mean, Tony was consistent. He did it at the highest level, and he did it so well that Tim Duncan had no problem turning the franchise over to Tony Parker and Manu, of course. I can't leave out Manu.
It's funny because Manu's the most loved basketball player in San Antonio, but he's kind of overlooked and forgotten at some point because it was Tony, it was Tim, it was David. Who was that other guy? Oh, Manu. That's right. It was Manu. Manu was a six man. Now, is he the greatest six man of all time? I've heard people say that more in the 210 district, but I mean I don't think he's the greatest six man of all
He's
time.
right up to the top. There's been some. He's above, in my opinion, he's way above Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams, those guys. But you
Definitely
have to
not
go
above
back to the
Havlicek.
Michael Cooper days, Bobby Jones, Bill Walton. So it's some great ones. But for him to even be in that conversation means that he did it at a high level. I won't say he's the best. I'm certainly not going to say he's the worst. He was a great six man, and he did a lot for the Spurs. Kobe Bryant was still alive. Rest in peace, Kobe. Kobe might say he's the greatest six man to ever play because Kobe had a very high level of respect for Manu Ginobili.
Yeah, Hondo is probably above him. I'm sure, right?
John Havlicek, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say I think that's pretty much the only guy I can think of putting him above him. So everybody gives a lot of love to Jamal Crawford. Jamal's great. Jamal's good. I'm not worried about that. Jamal's a really good six man. But I mean, is Jamal more flash than anything?
Jamal was a scorer. The reason I give Jamal so much credit is he scored 50 points for 4 different teams.
Yeah.
And so that always sticks out in my mind coming from a scoring family. But if you look at him and Lou Williams, they played basically just on one side of the ball. And Manu and those guys we mentioned, Havlicek was a all defensive guy. My
Yeah.
mind, and it should Manu was all defensive guy, as we know. And
Yeah.
so that's what separates him. Bobby Jones, all defense. I can even go Andre Iguodala. Those guys played on both sides of the ball. So to me, that puts them up here in the upper echelon of 6 men all time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. If you guys didn't are just joining us, we were joined by Speedy Claxton. It was the first about 20 minutes. We had a little bit of technical difficulties at the beginning. His internet was kind of in and out, so he logged back in, came back on. We had a great 15, 20-minute conversation with Speedy. Be sure to catch the replay of Sweep the League. If it's not later tonight, it'll be tomorrow morning like we normally run it. So be sure to catch that interview. We'll try to chop it up for everybody as well. So if you want to just look at that interview only, it was with Speedy Claxton. Talked about the 2003 NBA Spurs, NBA champion Spurs, coaching at Hofstra University. He's got a massively big 4-game stretch in the beginning of the season that we mentioned. Where he got his nickname from, Speedy. Also, how he got into coaching. I mean, you would think maybe Pop would be the reason why, but you got to listen and see who was the reason why he got into coaching and who actually pulled him to the side and said, hey, you know what? You'd be a great coach. That's why he's taking over the mantle. And the cool thing, Derek, you don't find this very often, but like I mentioned to him, 3 seasons at Hofstra, never had a losing season, always above 500. So, I mean, he's doing a hell of a job. I think maybe eventually we're going to see him kind of graduate and get to that next point of coaching, maybe to one of the bigger schools. I mean, I don't know if he ever want to leave his alma mater at Hofstra, but I mean, if they're calling, he's a hell of a coach right now.
You want to make your legacy, and sometimes your legacy, you might move on to greener pastures. It doesn't mean you're neglecting your school. This is a business, and if a team is going to offer you 3 or 4 times more than you make it at Hofstra, I mean, the object is to be able to take care of your family, offer your family financial security. So if he continues to win, which I think he will, you already heard he gets, the guys have basically bought in. You could tell by some of his comments that the guys have bought in, and he has the right disposition for the job. So, of course, people are going to come knocking down his door. And, I mean, when you keep getting tempted, at some point you might make that move to, like I said, greener pastures.
And there's going to be some really good, jobs coming up, I believe, in the college basketball world. So good luck to Speedy Claxton out there. Appreciate him for joining us tonight. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, NBA preview time, Derek. I told you in the Eastern Conference, I got one team circled. Who is that team? We're going to talk about it here when we get back here on Sweep the League. Hall of Famer Derek Urban, Rudy Campos Jr. will be back. Are you looking for a contracting company that gets the job done right the first time? Look no further than MCS General Contracting. MCS specializes in top quality concrete work, including patios, driveways, foundations, and swimming pools. The team of experts are dedicated to delivering exceptional results and unparalleled customer satisfaction. At MCS General Contracting, they're not just hardworking, they're local. Based in San Antonio, they are committed to building relationships and trust within the community. That's why MCS guarantees your satisfaction. They pride themselves on getting the job done right the first time, every time. So why wait? Contract MCS General Contracting today to schedule your project and experience the difference for yourself. MCS General Contracting, building a better San Antonio, one project at a time. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Yeah. Number 30, Derek Urban, do you feel the weight? Reppin' UTSA legacy that we create. Didn't rise alone, now it's bigger than me. The whole fam roll, run the blood running deep. I wear that 30 for the squad, for the dreamers. Running uphill, but faith kept us believers. Gotta grind every minute, every play, it's a test. Chasing dreams, but success demands your very best. Dreams do come true, but they never come free. Every day the race do, gotta hustle to be the only thing that stop me. The man in the mirror, still reppin' number 30. UTSA, the vision clearer.
2, 1.
Well, as you guys can tell, Derek Urban doesn't miss anything. If you don't want to miss anything as well, go to YouTube. Search at Sweep the League TV. Be a subscriber today. We're giving away a bunch of prizes and stuff. Be a subscriber today so you don't miss, just like Derek never misses. Subscribe to Sweep the League. I don't think you missed during that photo shoot that we did.
I
So
missed one at the end, but I didn't mind. I mean, you got 9 out of 10 is not too bad.
no, 9 out of 10 is not bad at all. It's 90%. That's about what I shot at the free throw line when I was good. So, and that was like many moons ago when I was a decent player. So, welcome back to Sweep the League. Rudy Campos Jr., Hall of Famer Derek Gervin. We talked to Speedy Claxton in the beginning of the show. If you missed it, be sure to watch the replay. Catch it on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search at Sweep the League TV, be a subscriber. We've got more guests coming on. Just getting started here, but we're going to talk some NBA basketball. We kind of hit the West a little bit yesterday. We'll talk a little more about the West. Spurs are in action against the Orlando Magic tonight. But looking at the East, Eric, I think a year ago I told you I like this team. And this year I like them even more, and that is the Orlando Magic. I really like this young team. What did they do? They went out and got a veteran who is going to be able to help these young kids grow in Contavious Caldwell Pope. I loved when you and I were covering the NBA draft. I loved the Tristan Del Silva pick, and he's showing it. He showed it tonight a little bit there. The Magic. I mean, they got to be a team to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference this year.
Well, I think they were a team to be reckoned with last year. Nobody was sleeping on them. Every team took them serious. You hear a lot of people, they think that Paulo Banchero is going to continue to ascend. We saw how well Franz Wagner played in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. So their team is going to continue to grow. The only problem I have with them, Rudy, I'm still a little I think their guard play has been kind of suspect. They lost Markelle Fultz.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, man. It just seems like they're still missing something. I know KCP is going to bring some leadership to the team, but I still feel like they're one player, maybe two players away from actually being in the top two of the the Eastern Conference when you see what the Knicks have done and, of course, Boston. So to contend with them, I think they're still going to have to make a move or two.
This was the perfect situation where I figured if Klay Thompson was to go there, I think that would have, because they miss shooting. That's the reason why they got Tristan Del Silva in the draft. But it's a team that needs shooters, and I think Klay would have been perfect. You bring in the championship mentality, you bring in the veteran, and you bring in a shooter, someone who doesn't have to do a whole lot. He doesn't have to do a whole lot. He reminds me of, when the Spurs, great thing, Michael Finley, Steve Smith, who we talked about earlier tonight, just the veteran to come in, knock down those key shots, can still put up points. I mean, we're not saying he can't put up points, but who can knock down a key shot when they need it, because it seemed like last year when it was winning time, they couldn't make a bucket, and that was their struggle. So I think that's where they kind of maybe not fumbled the ball, because who knows if they had a chance at Klay. But, with the Magic, I think they're a team on the rise. You're right. A player or two off. Who else in the East has your eyes?
Well, first for the Magic, I'm going to say I think KCP wants to have a rebound year. He didn't play as well as he did in their championship season for Denver. Yeah. And, he had kind of a rough playoff series last year. Yeah. So I think he's going to bounce back. And other teams, man, I mean, the Knicks, with the move they made, I mean, they put a lot of pressure on themselves to win now. You get rid of Julius Randle, first-round draft pick, and, of course, DiVincenzo, who was loved in New York City, had some really big games for them down the stretch. So we're going to have to see how it works with Jalen Brunson and, of course, the big fella, Karl Anthony Towns. That's going to be an interesting dynamic for me, Rudy, because he's familiar with Thibodeau, played for Thibodeau a few years ago. Yeah. What style of play are the Knicks going to play now? Bringing in a guy like that, and then they also brought in Mikal Bridges. So I'm interested. I know it's going to be hard for Thibodeau. He's not sleeping too well, because he's got to try to figure out how to get the best out of all these guys. Josh Hart last year had an excellent season. He played his tongue out. I mean, playing 48 minutes a night. So that's going to change. Deuce McBride is still probably going to be a big part of their team. So the Knicks have a lot to figure out. But when you have a lot to figure out, that's never a bad thing.
No, and, the question I've got on the Knicks is, I mean, yeah, you went out, you got Karl Anthony Towns to join, Mikal Bridges. Let's not forget OG Anunoby is there as well still. Are they going to really miss DiVincenzo as much as I think they will.
I think they will just because of his toughness. Everybody doesn't have the range that he has either. He can shoot that ball. I believe in Deuce McBride and Hart, but Hart is more of a guy that's going to go to the bucket.
Yeah.
And McBride is a good shooter from on the wing over there in the left corner area over on that side. And so, yeah, they're going to miss DiVincenzo, a guy that can get you 30 points. And he also can play some lockdown defense, a guy that's going to dive in the stands if necessary. So I think he's going to be missed. And I think Julius Randle's going to be missed. Do people realize that Julius Randle averaged 24 points last year when healthy and 9 rebounds and 5 assists? That's not easy to make up. And so they got some things that they're going to have to try to figure out. And, they're going to have to do it quickly because, the season's right around the corner.
Yeah, seasons are around the corner. I don't know if this is a Thibodeau. It's not saying this is the last, like this is his make or break year, but he definitely has the team to compete with Boston, who has the same starting 5 coming back with Holiday, White, Brown, Tatum, and Horford. So, I mean, it's pretty much the Celtics from last year. And
hey Rudy.
Yeah.
Organizations aren't as patient today as we found out with the New York Jets.
Yeah.
So with expectations, what comes with that? They want production. And so if Tibbs were to not win with this team, I think they went all in to win this year. And I don't think this is a wait. They're not waiting to win the next year or the year after that. And then you got to remember, this is New York City, Madison Square Garden. So Tibbs, I thought he coached well last year. I had him as one of the top coaches last season. But, when they go make a change like that and bring in Karl Anthony Towns, they're expecting to win now. So if they don't, I mean, it's New York, man.
Off the cuff question, are they better than the Celtics?
I'll say they're deeper than the Celtics. And the reason I say that is because one reason Porzingis is not coming back to December.
Yeah.
And then Xavier Tillman and those guys, they stepped up a little bit. You got Sam Hauser and Pritchard. But I think the Knicks are definitely deeper. If you look at their team, they really want – and then remember this, Rudy, they brought in a rookie, Tyler Kolek.
Yeah.
Who also I think is a guy that's a rookie that's ready to play right now. So if they stay healthy, I would rank them right now over the Boston Celtics.
I won't argue that at all. I mean, you say, well, Boston's the champions from last year. You got to beat them in order to dethrone them. I totally get all that. But on paper, I really do like the Knicks this year. I think they probably have enough to dethrone Boston in the East and very easily could be the team to beat in the East because, Philadelphia has Embiid. They got Paul George, Maxey. Philadelphia's there, but I always go to the same thing, Derek, every single season. You hype up Philadelphia, but how much are you going to get out of Joel Embiid? The guy can't stay healthy most of the time.
How much are you going to get out of playoff P?
Oh, God, that's over with. That's over with already.
Well, we heard Paul George talk about how in the bubble, he was all over the place mentally.
Yeah.
And that scares me. And then when you put that with a guy like Embiid, who can be a volatile player sometime, maybe some might even call a little dirty player sometime. And, of course, we know his injury history. So there's still a lot of questions in Philadelphia. And we have to look at that roster. I know they brought in Andre Drummond, a couple other guys. They lost Paul Reed. They lost Tobias Harris. So we're going to have to see what they do as far as their depth. And we know depth and health. And so right now I would have the Knicks and Boston over Philly. And to be honest with you, I would have the Bucks over Philly as well until proven otherwise. I think Dame's going to have a much better year. I think he's much more comfortable than he was last year. Giannis is going to be healthy. They're sitting him out now. They kept Brook Lopez. We still have question mark about Chris Middleton. But they also brought in Gary Trent Jr. And Taurean Prince. And for those two guys, you know what they bring to the table. Very serviceable guys that you can plug in. So I would have all those teams right now over that team in Philly.
Would the biggest question mark in Milwaukee be the backup point guard? I mean, right now you've got what DeLon Wright is probably the backup for Dame Lillard, but I mean, I put Milwaukee above Philadelphia, but I still put the Knicks and the Celtics far and beyond above Milwaukee. If that makes any
Would
sense.
you put Orlando over Philly right now?
Oh God, yeah, I
Maybe
would.
Indiana.
I would. Indiana, yeah, they're golly. I know you got on my case one time last beginning of the year when I said I don't really believe in Tyrese Halliburton just yet. I want to see what he does this year. I'm still feeling that way, but I would put Indiana probably over Philly. I would put Orlando over Philly as well.
Do
I,
you
I don't
know
I don't know what Embiid,
Tyrese?
man.
Tyrese has been eating nails all since the Olympic break, man, chewing on metal. He's so upset, man. think how upset he is to lead the NBA in assists. And
Oh
then you
God.
go to the Olympics, and him and Jason Tatum were basically spectators. So
Yeah.
he has a lot to prove, and I'm sure he wants to be in that upper echelon of when you start talking about the All NBA team because there's so many guards. You got Jalen Brunson and all De'Aaron Fox. I can even say there's so many guards he still has to compete with the Lucas, and
Yeah.
so I think he's going to come back hungry. But we're going to have to see if the other guys follow his lead, and if they do, Indiana's going to be a good team.
Yeah, because I mean, I like their starting five. I mean, you've got what Halliburton, Nimhard, Siakam, Aaron Neesmith, and Miles Turner. I
Miles
like
Turner
that.
shooting jumpers.
You still got McConnell coming off the bench. Matherin. We still haven't really seen the best out of Benedict Matherin, and I know he can get
No,
it going, man. He can get it going anytime.
they
So
need him to get it going. Rick Carlisle's got to kind of turn him loose, man. It's like they put the reins on him pretty much. You know what the kind of remind me of? And I think he's a better player than Cam Thomas in New Jersey and
mm,
Brooklyn. But they kind of put if you remember, Cam Thomas started off the year, what was he getting? 30 after 30 after 30 after 30.
yeah,
And then they kind of reeled him in. And it seems like Rick has done the same. If you look at their offense, I
yeah.
mean, they need to turn it over to that young man and let him play. He's a guy that can get you 25 a night. And I think until they do that, I think Indiana's going to struggle.
Do you think Matherin has moved at some point?
If they
If he
move
gets
him,
disgruntled, man.
I'm not moving a guy like him, man. I need him. You talking to a scoring guy. I
I
like
know.
Ben because he can also defend.
But if you're not going to get the playing time in Indiana, you know it's going to
Well,
get
on
to
his
him.
end, I
On
can
his end,
understand
that's
you
what I'm
talking
saying.
about leaving. Yeah,
Yeah,
but if the Indiana's crazy to even let him be unhappy, man, because if you look at it, Ben Matherin, he still has a high ceiling. And that's a guy you don't want to let get away. And then you like, oh, we should have done. I think he's too valuable right now for them to even have him upset. And I think he should be in the starting lineup. They should
yeah,
find a way to that's 25 points a night.
yeah. I mean, you would probably put him over Neesmith, probably, right?
Yeah,
On that starting five.
it's not even a question. I like Mr. Neesmith, but I mean, come on.
Can
He's
we
a
get
guy.
Rick Carlisle on the phone,
He's
please?
a
I
guy that
mean,
needs to come off the bench. I like him, but we're talking about Ben Matherin, man. If you really look at it, there's not too many scores in the league that are better than Ben Matherin. And so you
no.
got to give him some shots. The guy should be getting at least 15 to 18 shots a night. And until
Mm.
they do that, I can't really, I'm like you, I can't really bank on the Pacers until they do that.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of like I'll put them over Philly just because I don't know if we're gonna get a full season out of Joel or we're gonna get 34 games out of Joel Embiid. I don't know, and that's the thing. If a healthy Joel Embiid makes Philly a very dangerous team,
What happens if Philly struggles? There's two guys. Tyrese is not going to take the brunt of the criticism.
no.
But they're going to tear into Joel Embiid, the MVP last year, and Paul George.
Oh
When
yeah,
they made that move for PG, there's no questions asked. He is expected to produce this year, and
yeah,
if he doesn't, oh boy! I remember I was drafted by Philly, so I practiced and played some scrimmages, exhibitions in Philly. I know how the fans can be, and if Paul doesn't bring it, and I mean from game one, they're not the most forgiving crowd. So hopefully Joel can stay healthy. Rudy, now tell me this: does Joel
Yeah.
need to play going into the season?
Okay.
Should it be 65 games
Minimum.
or just should he? Because he wants to be in. You think he still wants to get MVP and all that stuff, or is it now just try to load manage him? That's what they got to figure out. What does Nick Nurse do? Do they load manage him?
Well, here's the problem with load managing Joel Embiid. Can you afford to lose those games? I mean,
And
that
can you
eats into your
afford to get him
playoff
out of
position.
shape? And he puts on
Yeah.
weight as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of a you're damned if you do, damned if you don't moment because you play him a bunch of games, but come playoff time, he's already done for. Or you rest him and you hope you can win those games. I mean, Andre Drummond is no Joel Embiid in the middle. So, can you really trust Paul George? I mean, you couldn't trust Paul George in the Clipperland last year to be the main guy. So,
Oh
it's hard
no,
to
man,
say.
God, that's not even a thought. I don't even think Paul's the second option right now.
Well, no, it'd be
They're
Joel and
gonna have to play
Tyrese.
off of Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. They didn't give. I know that he's making more money than Maxey, Paul George is, but Maxey they signed him to a 4-year deal or whatever for $40 million a
Yeah.
year, and that's because they expect him to be a keeper. So I would say Paul George is the one that's going to have to make the biggest adjustment, similar to Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
And that'll tell how Philly's going to do. But their bench is still a question mark. But as it goes back to the big fella's health, if Joel is healthy, I still say right now, looking at it, they're only at best a 4th or 5th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Man, 4th or 5th seed. You're giving them a lot of credit there. I don't even know
Well,
if
I
they're a
could
4th or
say
5th
6th or
seed.
7th, but I'm saying they're not in that upper echelon with the Milwaukee, I think, the Knicks and Boston. I think those are clearly the best 3 teams. And then everybody else try to, get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, because it'd be Boston, New York. I don't know if I put Philly at 3. I mean, I would probably go Milwaukee
I mean,
after that.
Milwaukee.
Can't forget about Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland could still be up. I mean, it's kind of one of those like they can still be up there.
They're the team. They're the team. They're the contender that's going to give Canelo a good fight that the fans want to see. Edgar Berlanga is going to go some tough rounds. Jaime Munguia, but they're not. You hear me clearly, and that's how I look at their team, man.
Can you count out Miami though?
I have already. I don't. You know why? Jimmy's not getting younger. Jimmy's had a history of injuries the last few years. And, he can be a malcontent on the team sometime. And they really didn't address their situation as far as getting Bam some help in the front court.
Yeah.
Jovic is a very good player, young player. But as far as when you talk about dealing with a guy like Embiid, who scored 70 points last year against the Spurs, and you're talking about a guy, just playing against those guys, playing against a Giannis. What's their answer to Giannis when you're talking about regular season and trying to win these games? So it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really difficult. But the kid they added, Khalil Ware, he's not a bad kid. I think he's still, a year or 2 away from, making an impact. But what is to say that Miami, if I'm them, it's the last legs, brother. It is with Jimmy Butler. You may want to try to move him. You're not going to get a whole bunch for him, but move Jimmy. That's the reason why you have Jaime Jaquez there. He can take over that small forward spot. You make Bam pretty much the guy for Miami along with Tyler Hero, but I think you can move on from Jimmy, and you can probably still make a play-in spot if you were able to move Jimmy. I don't have any doubt on that.
Is Hero is he better than Austin Reeves? I mean, honestly,
it's the same player. I mean, it's the same player.
I don't think that moves the needle. And then you got Duncan Robinson. He has learned how to put it on the floor a little bit. Kind of remind me of Danny Green with the Spurs. At first, they were just catch and shoot guys, and then you see him 2 years ago in the playoffs. We saw him put it on the floor for the first time. And then he continued that a little bit last year. But this is a do or die, I think, for Miami because they didn't shore up their lineup. And there's still a lot of question marks. When you go into the season, you want your question marks to be who is going to win those starting spots and who are going to be those first 3 or 4 guys off the bench. And I don't think that's a question in Miami. I think their hands are tied. So I can't put them anywhere near the Knicks, and I can't put them anywhere near the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both in agreement that the Knicks and Celtics are probably 1 and 2 in the East, and it's going to probably be like that for majority of the season. I mean, unless barring injuries to both teams, I can't see them falling out of that 1-2 spot. Either one of them. I think looking at the East, I love Orlando, but one team that I'm going to be excited to watch from time to time is Charlotte. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be excited to see a little bit of
Melo's
Charlotte.
back.
Melo, Brandon Miller getting out on the break, Josh Green getting out on the break. I like the kid. He was my number 3 draft prospect in Tijan Saloon. He looked very promising in his first game, NBA preseason game. I was hoping the Spurs would be able to get him. That didn't work out. But a very young team, not playoff worthy, probably not play-in worthy, but I think you can see a lot of excitement from this Charlotte Hornets team.
They're going to come along, like you said about Orlando, a team that's going to grow this year. They're going to have a pretty good season. They're going to knock off some big teams, but hopefully Melo could stay healthy. I think Brandon Miller is going to have a really good second year. He showed flashes of brilliance last season, but it's going to be rough. Because I'm going to make it remind you of this, Rudy, when we talk about these top tier teams.
Yeah.
We talked about the Knicks. There's one guy that I left out of the Knicks that we didn't even talk about. I'm not even talking about Jericho Sims. I'm talking about a guy by the name of Mitchell Robinson.
Oh, Mitchell Robinson, yeah.
So when he comes back, because I mentioned 2 lineups the Knicks could go with. One of them could have Josh Hart in the starting lineup, and the other one could have Josh coming off the bench. And Mitchell Robinson at the center position, Cat at the 4, Anunoby at the 3, Bridges at the 2, Brunson at the 1.
That's a big lineup, man. That's a good lineup right there.
That's a defensive lineup. Because remember, Cat is kind of underrated defensively.
Yeah, he really is.
And then you got those guys, they can get out on the break when you got an Anunoby. So with Mitchell Robinson is not a bad athlete either. So that was the kind of guys you need to deal with a Giannis and a Brook Lopez. So the Knicks are going to be scary.
How undervalued is OG Anunoby?
Very. Same as he was in Toronto. A guy
I figured he was.
He does some of everything. If you need him to score, he scored. When he was on the floor last year, his plus-minus rating, the team's plus-minus was off the charts.
Yeah.
And so and then you got a guy. It's very rare that a team has someone like him. I might have to go to New Orleans with what's the young fella, Herb Jones and the Murphy the third.
Oh yeah, Tremor third.
There's not many players have guys like. Not many teams have 2 guys like that. And then so you got Anunoby and you got Josh Hart.
Yeah,
and that's tough. So the East is going to have to catch up, man. Hopefully, they can all stay healthy. And at Cleveland, I like Cleveland, but I'm still not sold. I like Evan Mobley. What's that big fella in there with the headband? Yeah.
Jared Allen. Yeah.
We've seen Jared have some moments where he's disappeared in the playoffs. It's the truth. He's kind of become Rudy Gobert in the playoffs, a guy that you can get a lot from in the regular season.
I probably need to change my name.
Say it again.
I need to change my name because Rudy just doesn't seem to go good in the playoffs anywhere in the NBA.
Well, this past year he was better. But if you look at it, Jared Allen has a lot of the same problems that Rudy had. Really good player in the playoff in the regular season, and then in the playoffs, he's a guy that doesn't have really good hands.
Yeah,
and he's had some mental breakdowns. He has some defensive breakdowns, some lapses. Sometimes it seems like he's just coasting out there, and he's not giving his all. So that would hurt a team, and that's my question about them. And how far can Donovan Mitchell lead a team as the best player? I don't think Donovan can lead a team further than Ja Morant can lead a team.
Man, I'm going to pose this question because his name was up on so many people's boards. Does Donovan Mitchell get traded at the trade deadline?
If they don't start off well, I would say yes, because he still has some value. And if I remember correctly, 2 guys scored 70 points last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't he one of them and Embiid the other?
Embiid the other. That's right.
One of them scored 71 and Embiid scored 70. So you got a guy that's still putting up 71 points. You know a team that I would like to see Donovan with?
I was praying the Spurs. Who do you got?
That's one of them, but I also think he could help the Phoenix Suns.
Oh my God, that would be. Who would you give up? Bradley Beal? I don't
If
think we
I
give up.
have to,
No, I'm saying he would be the one man out, right? It would be Bradley
yes.
Beal. Okay.
Man, look, you get Okogie and those guys, you put KD, Booker, and Donovan Mitchell in there.
Oh my God.
That's 75
Jeez.
points at least a night.
Just from them three.
Yeah.
Just from them three.
So Bradley, you're not guaranteed to get that. And then Bradley now has a injury history. So I wouldn't even think twice. If I could put a Donovan Mitchell in Phoenix, I bet you they would take him without asking any questions. And that would be the team for me. It's them or Miami, but I prefer Phoenix for Donovan Mitchell. That style of play.
And I still, I put Phoenix in the West. I've got them a lot higher than probably a lot of people do because we mentioned them many times. Hey, they need a point guard. They went and got Tyus Jones. I like Grayson Allen coming off the bench for them. Gives them scoring off the bench. Royce O'Neal off the bench. Plumlee. They got a nice little bench going right there. But that starting five in Phoenix, Nurkic, Durant, Beal, Booker, Jones, those three guys don't have to be bringing up the ball down the court. They could get into position. They can put themselves in position. I think it's going to be a really big year for Phoenix.
Nurkic has to play better, though, because if you really look at it, he started off well, and that could be off adrenaline. You playing for a new team, and then he didn't play so well as the season waned, and then the playoffs. He didn't play that great, so he's going to have to be a better rim protector this year, and he's going to have to stop being so hesitant to take that free throw jumper. If he doesn't take that free throw jumper, he's clogging up the offense and making it harder for KD and Devin Booker to either get the jumpers or to drive to the basket. So Nurkic is going to be an important part, and I hope he realizes that he cannot be afraid to shoot the ball.
Yeah, definitely cannot be. So we talked the East. We're going to talk about the West here on the next couple of shows here at Sweep the League. We kind of broke it down yesterday a little bit, but this is our East preview. So Derek, if we're talking your playoff teams and your play-in teams in the East, which ones do you got going in?
First, I want to say hello to my friend I just saw, former George Gervin student, Michael Air Jordan Hilliard, my man right there. We call him Turtle. I call him Turtle. And I want to thank you for tuning in our show, my man. He's in Indianapolis. Awesome. So that means we are growing, my man. He's up there with Gio.
Oh, yeah, Gio is in Indy.
So for me, hey, and let me say this, Turtle also is working for a really good player, Rudy. You know the name. He's working at the program for Jeff Teague.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
So,
Jeff Teague.
Way to tune in, Turtle. For my Eastern Conference, what is the top four? What did you say, my playoff teams?
Yeah, give me your playoff teams and play-in teams.
Everybody except Atlanta. Let me see. Well, I don't even have to mention the Boston. I have to put Philly down there near the bottom. So I got Boston. I got the Knicks. Yeah. I got Orlando. I've got Milwaukee.
Let me bring it up so you can have the teams in mind. Sometimes it's easier to see the teams right in front of you there. So there we go. Okay, there's your Eastern Conference right there.
Well, you see I got Boston, New York, Philly.
Yeah.
I got I'm not gonna go say I got Orlando, of course.
Okay.
I think the play-in is gonna come down this year. I don't know, Rudy. I still don't think I think your Magic are not gonna do as well this year as you think. So I'm gonna have Orlando in the play-in games. I even think I'm going to have Cleveland as one of the play-in teams. Orlando, Cleveland, and Indiana, I think this year are going to be the play-in teams for the Eastern Conference.
Orlando, Cleveland, Indiana.
I think those are going to be – I don't think the other teams are quite ready yet.
So pretty much we can wipe out Atlanta, Washington, Charlotte, probably Chicago too, even though Levine's there. I mean, no DeRozan. It's a little.
Washington got Valanciunas, but I mean that you still got Jordan Poole and that other guy who they didn't trade, Kyle Kuzma. So I automatically take them out of the picture.
Yeah. So for me, it's Boston, New York. These are my playoff and play-in teams: Boston, New York, Philly, Indiana, Milwaukee, Orlando. and I'm gonna throw obviously Cleveland in there, and I'm gonna. I'm gonna. I mean, I said Philly. I know that. So yeah, that should probably be it right there. So Boston, New York, Philly. That's 3. Indiana's 4. Cleveland 5. Milwaukee 6. Orlando 7. And Miami. I'm gonna take Miami for that last spot. I think they get in at the very end there.
I think Miami goes in the top 6, and
It's
then we got,
possible. I'm
yeah,
just
and then
giving
you
you
got
8 teams.
Orlando. Yeah, then for me
Yeah.
it's Orlando, Cleveland, Indiana going to be in those 7, 8, 9 spots, and then the 10th spot will be anybody other than Brooklyn and Washington. So maybe
Brooklyn.
Toronto if you want.
So you're not even counting out Detroit right now, are you?
No, I love my team, but I watched them play. I mean, they did win the other night, but they're going to be so hard to. They don't have a big man, Rudy. James Wiseman is not panned out, and they played Fontecchio the other night when I was watching. So it was very easy for the other team to get to the basket against them, and so that call that was a red flag for me right away. I just thought Milwaukee got to the basket very easy. And Dame, started out blazing like 4 threes early. I just don't think the Pistons are ready yet. And we still don't know what Cade Cunningham, is he a star or is he just a guy that right now they have as the face of the team? So until I see Cade take another step and Jaden Ivey, I still don't believe in the Pistons.
Yeah, it's the Pistons. It's kind of weird, Dirk. They've got a squad around the team. I mean,
Tobias Harris is there now.
It's a good squad, but can they put it together? That's the question that we're always trying to ask when it comes to Detroit Pistons. They don't have a bad team at all. I mean, they really don't. On paper,
they have some pretty good individuals, I'll say. Then you got the rookie Ryan Holland.
Yeah.
So they got some players, but when I looked at their team, they're not a great shooting team.
No.
And they're not a big team defensively. You still got Isaiah Stewart, Beef Stew, as they call him. They still have him. But if you look at it, they don't have a guy. If you look at, say they were to play Dallas, and you got Gafford, P.J. Washington, and Derek Lively and those guys. And then remember, Luka's what, 6'7", 6'8"?
Yeah.
Teams like that. And that's what you're running into with a lot of these teams, size. And so I just don't think the Pistons are with that roster. Tobias will be back, but I'm not loving what I'm seeing with my Pistons. I'm wishing Mr. Bickerstaff well, but it's going to be a rough year.
Yeah, it's going to be a very rough year, Detroit. But, I mean, it's not going to be as bad as probably Washington or
no, it ain't going
to be that bad.
Washington, that's the bloopers team, I'll call them, because you got Jordan Poole. You never know what you're going to get. He's shooting threes and turning around, running down the court like Steph. But the only difference is Steph makes his.
Yeah.
And then you got Kyle Kuzma. So those are guys that the coach is going to have to stay on. And it's kind of like what we talked about earlier. I don't want to say too much, but Speedy talked about certain types of players.
Yeah.
And so I want the people to tune in. So I won't say too much. But yeah, we got guys like Kuzma and Jordan Poole. Sometimes it seems like they don't even want to show up to practice. If you look at the way they carry themselves, their disposition on the floor. And when those kind of guys are your leaders, I don't expect the team to go very far.
I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but it seems like those are the players that are just there to collect the check. They're just there because they have to be, and that's kind of sad, man. I mean, that's kind of sad.
I can't think of my guy's name. I can't pronounce it. They used to play with Gonzaga. I hate to see him suffer. He had a pretty good year last year, shooting a three. I can't think of his name. His last name starts with a K, or so I can't think of. Let me tell you. Who was that? Steph definitely makes his.
Yeah, Steph always makes his stuff there.
I got to tell you who the young man is for the Wizards.
For the Wizards right now?
Yes.
Oh, you're doing about oh God, I got it. Let me get him for you. I know who you're talking about. Not Drew Timmy.
Kisper.
Oh, Corey Kispert.
Kisper. Okay, him. I hate to see him go through that last year because he's a guy that wants to win.
Yeah.
And you could tell it in his body language. So it's just certain guys. I mean, what can you really say to Jordan Poole now? He's making all that money. And then Kuzma making when certain guys, man, when they start making that money, Rudy, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't play for the love of the game. Some play for their brand, I'll say.
Yeah.
And that
Gotta
is just
sell.
truth. I think Angel Reese is that way. To be honest, I don't even think she'll be in the WNBA 2 years from now. I think she's made some money. And as you know, there's a late great boxer by the name of Marvin Hagler said it's hard for some people to stay motivated when they're sleeping on, wearing silk pajamas.
Yeah.
And I think we run into that with Jordan Poole. It wasn't Draymond. I'll never condone the punching. But certain guys, man, it was something that led up to that. And Draymond was wrong for the punch. But Jordan is the kind of guy that can rub you wrong. And that's not good when he's one of your main players.
No, it's not. And, you've got to understand the Warriors, especially at the time, they're championship caliber teams. They don't want anyone come in just effing around. It's business as usual. F around in Washington, kind of what you're doing now. So I totally get that. Again, not condoning violence at all. I mean, the punch was not a very good thing to do by Draymond. Totally don't agree with it, but I understand where they say I don't agree with it, but I understand. I understand. I understand where that
has Kuzma gotten any better since he left the Lakers?
No. I mean, that's an easy answer. No, I think their best players is probably Bilal Kaloubi is a good player for Washington.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player.
Yeah, Kispert. I mean, if he given the opportunity, Kispert could be really good shooter for them.
They got rid of Gafford.
Yeah, they got rid of Gafford. I mean, Alex Sarr is the guy they drafted. Obviously, Valanciunas is there. You got to move on from those guys, from Poole and Kuzma. There's just nothing left there, man. Before we go end the show here, I got to catch you off guard, man. I got to catch you off guard with something here. A caught off guard moment, Derek. LeBron James decided to tweet this on Twitter today saying, "Can someone please explain to me why we're getting on an airplane and heading to Milwaukee for one preseason game?" You want to talk about a firestorm that he started. Everybody on LeBron's case asking, what are you talking about? You go to Milwaukee to play basketball, a preseason game. How do you take this as a player, man?
Well, if he was in Cleveland, I could understand him saying that because they could drive. But man, come on, LeBron. What can I say? The guy is happy that his son is playing with him, and that tells me that the Lakers aren't interested in winning. And right now, man, LeBron James, a lot of people's GOAT, he'll never be mine. This is just another LeBron moment, something he's doing for attention. That's an asinine comment. You get on the plane for one game, just like every other team in the NBA does. Yeah. It's not like he's talking like the Lakers are the Boston Celtics of 2023-24. Your team got knocked out in the first round again. You got knocked out in the first round a year before that by the Denver Nuggets. So you need all the flights that you guys can get so that you can try to build some chemistry, and guys like Dalton Connect and Jared Vanderbilt and D'Angelo Russell and Hachimura and all those guys can get some rhythm, and JJ Redick can get some more coaching experience as you head into a new season. Asinine comment.
Yeah, and people are like, well, he was just joking. I don't buy it for 1 minute. I mean, why would you even jokingly say something like that?
He wasn't joking, man. They killed me with talking about these guys are joking. The man was serious about it, and it just doesn't make sense. He's talking like the Lakers are in the upper echelon of the NBA. They're not, so they need all the practice that they can get. They need all the games that they can get. They probably need more like 10 preseason games, to be honest about it. So it's just another thing. LeBron James doing another one of his Aaron Rodgers moments.
Oh, that's a good comparison. LeBron James and Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, that's a very good comparison right there. LeBron tends to get people fired too, just like Aaron does, Mr. Discount Double Check. So great comparison. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Derek. I'm gonna tweet this coming weekend, like, oh God, why do I have to drive to San Antonio to go to Comic Con for just one weekend? Why am I gonna do that? I'm not gonna do that.
Why
I
would you
don't
even
want.
say that though? When you got these young guys coming in, man, right? You need to have as positive an attitude as you can have. Would Steph Curry ever say something that silly?
No, and we know Durant says a lot of stuff on social media. I don't even think he would say something like that at all. I mean,
It doesn't make sense. LeBron right now should be as serious as he can be because this is a team. This is do or die for the Lakers, and this is do or die for LeBron. This is
oh
his
yeah,
last chance to get a championship. And if it doesn't happen this year, he's going to be stuck on 4. And so, I mean, they need to get it in gear. And he's supposed to be the guy that's running the ship, the conductor of the train. So he needs to stop talking and get his team ready to play.
yeah, and of course, Michael Air Jordan Hilliard says no, not the discount double check moment. Agreed. Yeah, we had to get the discount double check moment in here. But the one thing I take away from that too is your son plays on the team. What kind of example are you setting for Bronny? I mean, we already know he's going to struggle in the league, but to get the mentality of, oh my God, we got to go all the way to the East Coast to play one game. You do that on a nightly basis, man. I mean,
He can fix it. He can retire.
exactly. There's the door, man. There's the door.
Why should they make special concessions for LeBron James, who has went 4-6 in the finals? So it's not like he talks like he's 8-2 in the finals or 9-1. And said, like you said, I'm serious about this. Set a good example for your son. Even joking like that, some people are going to take it serious. Don't even put that out there. Just try to get your team in the right mentality to get ready to play ball. And when the season comes around, so you guys are ready right off the bat.
100%. Before we leave, Derek, I got to make this known. I have a better NBA Finals record than LeBron. I'm 500 in the finals.
Right.
So I'm 0-0. So that makes me 500 in the NBA Finals. I am the greatest of all time, better than LeBron James. So appreciate everybody joining us here on Sweep the League. We talked to Speedy Claxton at the beginning part of the show. Go back and listen to this episode. Great interview with Speedy Claxton. Talked about the 2003 San Antonio Spurs title run for him. Also, him coaching at Hofstra University, men's basketball head coach there, getting ready for the season coming up here. Hope to talk to him again. Maybe when the season's over, we'll try to get Speedy back on, see how everything went for Hofstra, maybe get some intake on the summer, possible ideas on how you can be recruited, stuff like that. We got a lot of stuff we can talk to Speedy, but appreciate him joining us tonight on Sweep the League. You're a week away, man. You are a week.
Hey, Rudy, if Nick Nurse doesn't pan out in Philly, where's Hofstra's Pennsylvania?
Oh, man. Could that really happen? That would be awesome, I think.
I mean, guys like Jock Vaughn have gotten the call, haven't they?
They have.
So, I mean, it's not Steve Nash, JJ Redick.
Yeah.
So if JJ got an opportunity with no experience, Speedy at least is coaching in college and he's hasn't had a below 500 season. So, the NBA, anything can happen.
That's not a bad idea. I think we can put we got to put the thought in somebody's ear to get Speedy.
We're putting the plug
NBA.
in for
Yeah.
Speedy Claxton to the Philadelphia 76ers. No more trusting the process. Let's get it done.
There you go. That's the motto going in for Philly and for Hofstra. Men's basketball coach Speedy Claxton. Again, take a look at Sweep the League. Go to our YouTube, search at Sweep the League TV. Be a subscriber on YouTube. Catch all of our episodes there, especially this one that we had with Speedy Claxton. So for Derek Gervin, Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, going in next weekend. It's going to be a busy weekend for you next weekend. So going in next weekend to the UTSA Hall of Fame. We'll be at Comic-Con, Big Texas Comic-Con this weekend. Saturday it'll be myself, Derek, and Shemaya. We'll be out there Sunday, me and Shemaya. Then Friday, I'll be out there for a little bit. So catch us all weekend.
Guess whose show I would have been on tonight, but I didn't because we had Speedy. I would have been on the show tonight with Mr. Coach Trailer.
Jeff Trailer.
Yeah, Jeff Trailer. I was supposed to do that tonight, but I put that on hold so that we could bring Speedy on the show.
Well, he's got a show next Wednesday. You can do that one, I'm sure.
Well, I'm going to be talking to them again because I told the young lady why I couldn't make it. But I would like to get on there with Jeff Traylor, and I think that'll be a great show. And I'm excited to even meet the man face to face.
You know, if you can get on next week, I'm gonna try to make. I don't know if I can, but I'll try to make it next week. But if not, yeah, it would be awesome for you to meet Jeff Traylor. But you're gonna be at the game on the 19th. I'll be out there as well. So everybody head out to the UTSA game on October 19th and say hi to Derek. And I'm telling everybody this weekend at Comic-Con, you see him Saturday, get his autograph. Once he goes into the Hall of Fame, it's no more signing because he's gonna have his own table.
I'm just gonna wave at people. How you doing? Hey, thank you for everything. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we'll be out there this weekend. So for Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr., until we sweep the league again, we'll see you later, knuckleheads.
Everybody have a good night.
Are you a hockey fan looking for the latest on the Edmonton Oilers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and NHL news of the week? Barry and Carson Best bring it all to you on the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. They break down games, provide insider updates, and keep you up to speed every week. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and join their hockey family.
Welcome to the Lean Left, Lean Right podcast, where spirited debates and open discussions reign supreme. Join hosts Rudy and Shemaya as they dive headfirst into the hottest topics in politics and beyond. They're all about seeking common ground without losing their passion for their perspectives. If you're ready for real talk and honest opinions, subscribe now and join the conversation.
We build a legacy, yeah, they know the name. STL music, it's a movement, not just a claim. Loyalty, respect, that's the code we honor. In the face of adversity, we stand stronger. We build a legacy, yeah, they know the name. STL music, it's a movement, not just a claim. Loyalty, respect, that's the code we honor. In the face of adversity, we stand stronger. Yeah. Number 30, Derek Irvin, do you feel the way? Reppin' UTSA legacy that we create. Didn't rise alone, now it's bigger than me. The whole fam roll, run the blood running deep. I wear that 30 for the squad, for the dreamers. Running uphill, but faith kept us believers. Gotta grind every minute, every play, it's a test. Chasing dreams, but success demands your very best. Dreams do come true, but they never come free. Every day the race too, gotta hustle to be the only thing that stop me. The man in the mirror, still reppin' number 30. UTSA, the vision clearer.
2, 1.
Well, as you guys can tell, Derek Irvin doesn't miss anything. If you don't want to miss anything as well, go to YouTube. Search at Sweep the League TV. Be a subscriber today. We're giving away a bunch of prizes and stuff. Be a subscriber today so you don't miss, just like Derek never misses. Subscribe to Sweep the League.